Hi class, let's take a few minutes and chat about what's happening this week and what happened last week. First off, can you believe it's Thursday? I think I say that every week. How is it Thursday already? Okay, let's chat. You should have received feedback on your literature review and research questions. If you haven't received that feedback or haven't viewed it, please go ahead and do that. It should be entered in Canvas for you. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. If you were one of the groups who were somehow unable to submit your literature review via Canvas or Canvas lost it, first of all, Canvas has some issues. Then I uploaded that clean copy as part of my feedback so that you have that literature review in another location. I also uploaded a copy of a Word document where I track changes and added comments so you can see specifically where that is. If you were one of the groups that submitted your lit review through Canvas and it went through successfully and wasn't lost and wherever it was lost, then you received comments within that assignment that you submitted in Canvas, and there is a color-coded system that is explained in the feedback. Okay, let's talk about that discussion board that we've been doing this week. First of all, remember there are 3 total posts needed, an initial post and 2 response posts. Everything is due by the 20th. If you haven't done your initial post, please go ahead and do that as soon as possible. I know the calendar says that initial post was due by the 13th. I don't really care when you submit the initial post as long as everything is in by the 20th. So make sure that you go ahead and do that. If you are spending more than 30 minutes combined on the response post, you are spending too long. Press submit. I'm sure it's awesome. Remember that this is meant to simulate a discussion that you would have in class. You wouldn't spend hours and hours preparing what you were going to say to chat with your class members. You would spend 15-20 minutes. So spend 15-20 minutes. Make sure those comments are substantive, but it's a conversation, so treat it as such. Your initial post needs to include all of the information requested by the prompt. So that means you need to describe that observational experiment. Do not just talk about it in vague terms. My assumption is if you're talking about it in vague terms and can't give details about the experiment, then the experiment wasn't performed and we're just faking it till we make it, which is an awesome philosophy, but will not work in this particular class. So if you have done that, or if you don't feel that your post was as substantive as maybe it should be, please go back in and add those details before I grade it. In some cases, I've gone through the discussion board and offered my own responses, and we're trying to tease some of those details out. If you've received a question like that, you can feel free to respond to my post instead of going back and amending your post, because I will see everything that you said when I go in to grade it. But we need to make sure those details are there. Describe the experiment. Why did you decide to do the experiment? What did you do? What did you learn? Very vague statements are not going to cut it with that. So please make sure that you're being specific enough. Okay, let's talk about the methods section. I want you to think about the methods section as a recipe or a roadmap. Think of it, the methods section, like this. You are a local in a town, and you are describing to a new person in the town how to get to the grocery store or the airport or somewhere. You're describing to them how to get somewhere. As a local, you might have different names for streets. You might just say, oh, go down the main boulevard, make a right at the school. It's there on your left. Okay. To someone that is familiar with the area, that's informative. To someone who's never been there, that provides them little to no information. They cannot replicate your route with the information provided. You're not providing them the vocabulary to be successful, and you're leaving out a lot of details. The same is true with a research project. You need to provide future researchers with the details necessary to replicate and therefore validate the results that you have found. So the way that you do that is you go in a very step-by-step fashion with that method section. The method section is going to be written in future tense at this time, but you will go through and edit it and put it in past tense at the end of the semester before you include it in the final paper so that it reflects what was actually done. Keep in mind what you think you're going to do and what you actually do may end up being 2 fairly different things, but we need to have a plan right now so your research follows a fairly methodical process. So let me give you an example. My family is moving to Atlanta in a couple weeks. We were there last weekend and we were trying to find the grocery store closest to our new house. Someone told me that you take Marketplace past the Walmart, you make a left near the school, and it's in that neighborhood over there. Well, that would have been useful information to someone who had been there more than once. But because the road is not called Marketplace, it's called 400. And because that neighborhood over there could refer to one of 25 neighborhoods over there, and I didn't really know what over there was, I just drove around in circles for a long time trying to find this random grocery store. I don't know if I found the right grocery store, but that is how future researchers will feel if you do not provide them with the information necessary. So I did eventually make it to a grocery store. I don't know if it was the right one. And they will probably make it to the end of the research study. But because I didn't take the same route, I might not have ended up at even the right grocery store. Because they might not follow the same process as you, their results may not mirror yours and therefore may not validate your findings. So you need to make sure that you are specific and that you use terms people know, generally accepted terms, and that every step of that process, from how the sample was selected all the way down to your plan for data analysis, is included in that method section. Let's talk about the sampling framework. I love that I am seeing things like snowball sampling, cluster sampling, but as you start to do that, keep in mind what is great in theory and what is realistic in practice. Snowball sampling using social media is an awesome idea, but how realistic is it that people that take your survey are then going to post that survey on their own social media profiles? I'd say that while it's great in theory, the reality is in practice people aren't going to do that. So what you are actually doing is a convenience sample, and that is fine. A convenience sample is totally acceptable for this class. Convenience samples are not without their issues, but in this class you need to collect a lot of data from a varied group of people quickly. And posting it on your Facebook profile and asking people to take the survey will do that for you. So, convenience sample, totally acceptable. Just make sure that you are able to explain some of the pitfalls of the convenience sample, but why you did it. If you would like to sample BYU Idaho students, you need to request a simple random sample of BYU Idaho students as part of your IRB application. The IRB is very specific that we do it this way if we are surveying BYU Idaho students to reduce the burden on the students being asked to take the survey. So they want to have a good idea of who has it. If for some reason you do request that simple random sample, keep in mind, it's a simple random sample of all BYU Idaho students. So that includes BYU Idaho students that are online, on campus, throughout the world, various ages, various levels in school, which is awesome. But you need to just know that that's what you're getting yourself into. It's a great thing to get yourself into. Just know. Also remember, as part of your method section, you need to be able to describe the sample that you have. So adults ages 18 through 25 in the United States with a Facebook profile, awesome. But tell me about them. What's the gender breakdown, socioeconomic status, things like that. You need to be able to provide some of those details. If you're surveying BYU Idaho students, you need to be able to provide those details as well. And the BYU Idaho demographics, student demographics, is readily available if you search on Google. So make sure that you include that. If you have any questions about what is happening this week, please go ahead and email me. If you would like early feedback on your methods section, please go ahead and email that to me. A polished draft no later than Monday, February 18th at noon, and you will receive feedback back no later than Tuesday, February 19th at 5 p.m. If you have any questions, let me know. Let's get ready for an exciting week.